Well, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission is asking electricity distribution companies in Nigeria to prioritize consumers' rights in electricity metering processes. In a meeting with key stakeholders in the electricity sector, the Commission's CEO, Tunji Bello, highlighted systemic inefficiencies that continue to plague Nigerian consumers, particularly metering and billing practices. Bello's remarks come amid growing concerns over the phase-out of the Unistar prepaid meter model. The transition, set to begin next week, raises questions about whether consumers will be required to bear the costs of replacing these meters, or whether they will be subjected to estimated billing practices, which are prohibited by the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission. Right, joining us now is the Director of Corporate Affairs at the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, Ijagwu. Thank you very much for joining us on Newsnight. Well, you are the FCCPC, and the question that I would have really liked to ask first off is, why do we need this upgrade at a time when Nigerians, millions, are still, waiting in line for the meters that are now being phased out?
Well, we're told that the upgrade is required because the meters have a 10-year lifespan. And those are technical issues. What we are bothered and concerned with are the consumer welfare issues that are involved. The fact that if you have to upgrade, or if you have to withdraw a particular meter, the consumer that has that meter would need a replacement, and a replacement at no cost to the consumer. That is what the rule says.
Right.
So what we have come to gather is that a number of times that this had happened, the cost had been transferred to consumers in a way, and that is what we are against.
Well, let's talk more about consumer protection here, which is very key, and ask how much of collaboration you're having with the regulator in this place, NEC. By the way, well, before the question, let's let the people know we tried so hard to get NEC to come on the show tonight. We're hoping that NEC will oblige us that invitation, because NEC has all to speak on this particular issue. So on that, Jay, Unistar is being phased out, and you say this will be done at no cost to the consumer. Is this conversation going on with some of the discos?
Sure. At today's meeting, we held a stakeholders meeting today, and at that meeting, we had almost all the discos present. We also had the NEC and NEMSA present. We have very robust working relationship with NEC and NEMSA. For the discos, excuse me, for the discos, by today's meeting, the outcome of today's meeting...
You can play... it's affecting me too. It's the weather in Abuja, so the change of weather.
Yeah. Yes, so, by the outcome of today's meeting, the discos cannot continue with the transition as scheduled. Reason being that we are directed at today's meeting that that process be halted pending when they comply with laid down rules and regulations. Because as you would know, the electricity sector is a regulated sector. And discos are regulated entities. It is not within their wings to get up on a particular day and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. At today's meeting, we had very robust deliberations, and what we resolved at the meeting at the end of the day was that that process has to be halted because they haven't complied with regulations.
Is that to say the November 14 deadline is no longer the case? And what exactly, I'd like you to address that. And these laid down rules that you talk about, what are the key rules here that the discos have to abide by before they can, go ahead with this?
Yeah, the November 14 date is no longer valid,
right,
by the outcome of today's meeting. And like I said, NEC was there, NEMSA was also there. And yeah, if a disco must proceed with the withdrawal or replacement of meters, you must have to abide by the NEC order on structured replacement of faulty and obsolete meters. That they haven't done. You must have to comply. You would have to approach NEC, and then NEC would take you through the process before anything could happen. And that also, like you know, is a kind of safeguard for the Nigerian consumer, because if that is not followed, definitely Nigerian consumers would have the short end of the stick in this matter.
And for the consumer watching, you know, sometimes we have 11 discos in Nigeria. You know, sometimes across the country, you just might, as the case with some overzealous security agents, you just might have someone who's thinking that you just want to go out there and displace someone of his meter and not bring a new one for that time being. How do they get to the FCCPC and ensure that they get some kind of reprieve?
Okay. Let me also say quickly that if your meter is to be replaced, if your meter is faulty, it has to be replaced within 48 hours at no cost to the consumer, except there is evidence to show that the consumer either tampered with the meter or was responsible for the fault. If that is not the case, it has to be at no cost to the consumer. And so for us, we are now very much awake to this and would ensure that consumers don't suffer unjustly.
And that's where, I mean, how do you ensure that discos will not go through the back door by, talking about cost-reflective tariff?
No, my question is about the reporting line. So how do they get to you?
The consumers.
The
consumers, we have channels where consumers can reach us. But I think the easiest one, is the telephone line.
Which would be?
0805 600 3030.
600 3030.
Yes, that's our hotline for the consumer to reach us.
All right, 0805 600 3030. That's the customer care line of the FCCPC. That's a
yes, and I can bet you that no disco would want to risk going through any back door to do anything to the consumer.
Okay,
because,
that's
definitely the hammer would fall.
Right.
Yeah.
But the issue of metering, a lot of Nigerians have had to, go for the option of calculated billing. What's that billing called? Estimated billing. Thank you very much. Estimated billing. And I've heard some really outrageous numbers where some say, look, for a house that has only one AC, sometimes you have to pay 200,000 naira. That's outrageous. Well, how's the FCCPC looking at this to ensure that Nigerians get metered? Some have to wait for months on end, and they still don't get the meters. And now we're talking about this upgrade.
Yeah. There is the billing cap for every area. So if you don't have a meter, if you're not a metered customer, your estimated billing has to fall within your billing cap. What we discovered in the course of going out for maybe one program or the other is the fact that discos flout this to a great extent. They go above the billing cap for specific areas, and we frown at this. But even then, going forward, we'll not just frown, we'll penalize when discos violate the consumer's right in that respect.
All right, Ondaje Ijagwu, Director of Corporate Affairs, Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, many thanks for your time.